welcome to episode 76 of What If Civilization Started Over. Let's get into it. So, last episode, we had the Mediterranean Union Civil War, which is a very big thing, as the Mediterranean Union almost came out of existence. Yeah, and after the Civil War, many countries joined the Mediterranean Union's alliance, such as this country, and Ireland. Yeah. And we're gonna go back to the Mediterranean Union because the Mediterranean Union is kind of in shambles right now. And it's been a couple years since the Civil War has happened, and the world has been pretty peaceful since. And with all this happening, the Mediterranean Union tries to fix itself, but so far, there's not so good things going on in the Mediterranean Union. There's attacks going on everywhere, not very good things. And the people are getting mad at this nation. So, one day, about 5 years after the original Mediterranean Civil War, Cyprus, something is going to rebel away from the Mediterranean Union. And what is going to rebel away from the Mediterranean Union? And that thing is Cyprus. As Cyprus breaks away from the Mediterranean Union. And the Mediterranean Union quickly thinks, oh, just a small rebellion makes sense after a civil war. So they quickly go in and take it. But then more rebel groups start to pop up around the Mediterranean Union, and specifically the Middle Eastern area, as many rebel groups are coming united together in order to, stop the Mediterranean Union from existing. And, they're kind of one giant nation, kind of uniting. Yeah. And the Mediterranean Union is going to go into here and do what they did to Cyprus and greatly push back. They won't be able to push into there, though. That is because when we go to Morocco, the rebel group also spreads over to Morocco, all the way across the entire Mediterranean Union. That's a very far distance. And this rebel group will be encasing the entirety of the Moroccan area, which looks something like this. And then, when we go to Greece, the biggest rebellion comes up. Albania. Nope, that's actually the smallest as it gets defeated very quickly. Greece joins the rebellion and breaks away from the Mediterranean Union. This is really bad. And the Mediterranean Union is still in shambles. They are asking their allies to send aid, which they currently are. But Cyprus comes back, and the Mediterranean Union Civil War 2.0 has begun. As the Mediterranean Union will be quickly going into the Cyprus area and fully annexing it, and will be pushing greatly into the Moroccan area, as these are weak rebellions. Yeah. But where they won't be doing well is Greece, because the Greeks' rebellion is pushing back greatly. And, they also take Crete and start a massive push into Turkey, like this. They will be able to, get rid of that rebellion, and now there's the main rebellions, as eventually the Moroccan rebellion will fall. But in that time, the Greek rebellion has taken over a huge part of the Balkans. As well, the Balkans are just kind of in shambles too, and nobody wants to get involved with another war at the Mediterranean Union, especially civil war. And this allows the Greek rebellion to have a lot of space and take Istanbul. But then the Mediterranean Union will come in and navally blockade the Greeks. And with that, they will be able to take Cyprus and this small Turkish exclave thingy here. And they will be able to push back in the Albanian area. Until rebellions pop up over in Egypt. Egypt rebels away from the Mediterranean Union, as people are really unhappy with the decisions that this union has made. The Egyptians want their empire back, but who knows if but they're kind of under one nation. The Greek rebellion and the Egyptian rebellion are under one singular nation, which makes it maybe a little bit easier for them to take over the entire country. But the Egyptians will be going down here. And then the biggest rebellion of all, the Iberian Peninsula will be having rebellions in the Mediterranean Union, as all this area in the south will be rebelling away from the Mediterranean Union. And the Iberians will be re-invading Morocco and, well, taking a huge chunk of it, as the Iberian Rebellion is very big and it's being mainly focused on by the Mediterranean Union, as is threatening the capital greatly. If they take the Iberian Peninsula, they could threaten the Yellow Team capital and also the Blue Team capital, which are the two capitals of the Mediterranean Union. So the Mediterranean Union will send the majority of their troops down into the Iberian Peninsula in order to defeat the Iberian Rebellion so they don't lose their capitals. What did I just say? Oh yeah. The Mediterranean Union is going to send a majority of their troops down into the Iberian Peninsula in order to stop the Iberian Rebellion so they don't lose their capitals. There. That's normal speed. As the Iberians will be lost a lot. And this allows the Greeks to... What? Wait. And I've got the map again. I just need to redraw. What happened was my map thing decided to go on the completely wrong layer. Luckily, I have duplicate layers, so yeah. But what I was saying is this, with the Mediterranean Union focusing on the Iberian Peninsula, allows the Greeks to push in and fully take Istanbul and start a massive push into Turkey, which goes extremely well for them as we're able to take over this area here, which looks something like this, and the Greeks push in here. Yeah. And when troops come back, they realize that the Egyptian rebellion is becoming bigger, as more and more places from around the Union start to join it. And, well, mainly across northern parts of Africa, as well, these are non-Mediterranean Union areas, historically. Yep. And the Egyptian rebellion expands to this. And then, the biggest and most hardest rebellion to defeat of all, Corsica, rebels away, joining this empire. And, well, who knows what could happen? This is the most threatening one right now, as the Iberians were, like, down here, but historically, the Iberian Peninsula has been taken over by rebellions from down here. And this thing is right next to the Blue Team capital. Then the Iberian Rebellion might be able to push into the Yellow Team capital, and once you lose your two capitals, I don't think that's a good idea. Yeah. But this rebellion will be able to push in and take over all of Sardinia and this island, and will also be making an operation in Sicily and taking all of its areas. This is really bad for the Mediterranean Union. So the Mediterranean Union is going to be redeveloping bomb warfare. Yeah. If you haven't heard of bomb warfare already in this series, what are you doing? I've mentioned it a couple times. Yeah. So basically, kind of grenades, things. And with this, they will be going into the Greek rebellion as they see that one as the most threatening, and they will be greatly pushing in and cutting off the remainder of the Greek peninsula and taking it over. Yeah. But, for some reason, okay, these Middle Eastern areas rebel. Yeah. And Cyprus comes back, where the rebellion originally started. Great. And as these Greek and Turkish rebellions continue to connect, as all these areas will be connecting, and the Triangle Alliance is not helping them. The Mediterranean Union desperately needs this. They are still recovering from this. They probably from the Civil War. They probably would have been done by now if they were if they have been recovered. But they will be able to go ahead and take over these rebellions. Yeah. But then the Iberian Rebellion pops up again. And, well, what happens is the entire Iberian Peninsula is about to rebel away from the Union, as the Mediterranean Union this time is not able to send troops. A majority of the troops are over here fighting in Greece and Egypt, while this side is not worried at all, as this island is retaken, and eventually, when the troops come, the Iberians have already pushed all the way to here, and they're also invading North Africa, and also rebellions in more of North Africa. The Mediterranean Union is falling. As these rebellions connect with each other, the Middle East has a lot of not so good things going on here, as all these rebellions will connect together to form this empire. So far, this is basically the Eastern version of the Mediterranean Union. Yeah. But the Mediterranean Union is still doing extremely well in the European theater, as they're taking over here, and also pushing greatly into the Turkish area. This gives them hope, as they're also able to push back these African rebellions, and also start a great pushback into the Egyptian rebellion. And then the Mediterranean Union is going to use their navy is kind of discombobulated. Is that the right word to use? Like, it's kind of scrambled. Like, there's the main parts of the Union have the navy over in like all the Mediterranean area, mainly the Roman and main core areas here, and Greece, and also over in the Iberian area, where a majority of the Mediterranean Union navy is. Yeah, and if you can't tell, the Iberian Peninsula, where all the navy is taken over. And now, this country and the Mediterranean Union Navy is basically gone. So, I won't be adding a naval layer, but if I were to say, the Mediterranean Union has control of all the blue areas, but the red areas that I just colored in are currently controlled by the rebellion. And with the superior navy coming in, the African landing will begin and continue, as the Moroccan area is going to get completely destroyed. As well, this nation is extremely powerful, and they are using things that aren't really developed in the Mediterranean Union. They realize that bomb warfare, they're using a different type of bomb warfare, said to have been really strong throughout history and developed somewhere in East Asia. Said to have. Yeah. But going back to Iberia, the Iberian Rebellion pushes through the front lines and will be taking the Catalonian area. And then, well, a stalemate happens. While we go back over here, as the Mediterranean Union is going to evacuate troops in order to save the capital. And that means Sicily is invaded. And then, the worst battle of this war so far happens, as the Iberians will be sending their troops through the Mediterranean Union. They will be quickly advancing or slowly advancing to the Yellow Team capital, as they will try and, they encircle the capital, the Yellow Team capital. And, the battle of the Yellow Team capital eventually ends in an Iberian victory. And this is horrible, as the Mediterranean Union wasn't expecting this. And the royal family flees from the Yellow Team capital to the Blue Team capital through underground tunnelways that they've made. The other African rebellions repop up. And as all these rebellions will be destroying the North Africans, and the Mediterranean Union will be evacuating from all areas other than the capital. As the Mediterranean Union will be losing all of the African areas. And when we go up here, the Mediterranean Union loses a lot of the Balkans. And then Rome rebels from the Mediterranean Union. As all these rebellions will connect up to form one giant, rebellion. They all connect up. And, this is the end for the Mediterranean Union. The Mediterranean Union calls their allies, desperate for anything. They're calling anybody they can. They're calling the Irish, the Red Team, the historically the biggest enemy. All of Europe, all of Asia, and all of Africa, all of the Americas, to save the Mediterranean Union. But no one answers the call, not even their own allies. Their own allies state that in such circumstances like this, their help won't be much, that they would lose this war. So, the Triangle Alliance will be staying alive, but they won't come help the Union, as the Yellow Team area is being taken over by the Iberians, as the Iberians will come in and they will finally connect up. And then, well, eventually, with millions of troops on all sides, eventually the Blue Team capital will be captured, forcing the Mediterranean Union to surrender. As the royal family is captured from the Blue Team capital and brought out to these islands, this means the rebellion of the Mediterranean Union has won the Civil War. It's time to look at a peace treaty. This is the peace treaty. You don't believe it? Same thing as last episode, but this time it's different. This is not the Mediterranean Union anymore. And well, this is kind of different. The Mediterranean Union is gone. It's not a union anymore. And what will be happening is this capital, the Yellow Team capital here, will be removed from the map. And well, they tear down the capital, make it a major city, and the Blue Team capital is the only capital. And the Mediterranean Union, because it's not a union anymore, it gets renamed from the Mediterranean Union to the Mediterranean Empire. One empire. The monarchy is gone, and a dictator comes in. And he rechanges it, the name from the Union, the Mediterranean Union, to the Mediterranean Empire after the rebellion. And that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of What If Civilization Started Over. See you in the next episode, and bye!